Hi, welcome to session 3. We're now going to look at something really interesting, which is how thoughts work on your body and why your body follows your mental orders. We're also going to look at elite athletes and how they use intention for mental rehearsal, and how you can carry out mental rehearsal for intention. All of this activity starts with the brain. And we have to say, for all of its marvelous capability, the brain is just a little bit dumb. The problem with it is it can't distinguish between action and thought, or even perception and thought, or movement or thought. Let me give you a good example of this. There was a professor of psychiatry and behavioral sciences at Stanford University called David Spiegel, and he wanted to show what happens to the brain with intention. So he got a group of participants together, and he hypnotized them. And then he showed them a colored grid painting, similar to a Mondrian, one of those grid paintings that's got primary colors in it. But he told the people to imagine the color draining from the picture and leaving only black and white. Now, after he'd hypnotized them, he attached them to special brain scanning equipment, which can record the physical activity in the brain. It shows the blood flow and what parts of the brain are lighting up when we perceive something. What he found was that blood flow and activity in the brain diminished in the part of the brain that deals with our perception of color, and that the areas that process black and white were being stimulated. Then he tried reversing the experiment. He asked them to imagine gray images turning into color, and he showed them a black and white picture. And just the opposite changes occurred in the brain perception patterns. So the brain's visual cortex, the thing that's responsible for processing images, couldn't tell the difference between a real image and an imagined one. The brain was so dumb, it couldn't work out the difference between the thought of something and actual perception. The mental instructions were more important than the actual visual image. I have another example of this that's even more fun, and it's great comfort to any of you out there who don't like going to the gym. Cleveland Clinic Foundation in Ohio decided to compare people who went to the gym with those who just thought about it and sat in their armchairs. So the foundation took a bunch of people who regularly go to the gym and asked them to go in there and work on their biceps and see if they could increase their muscle power. And then he asked another group of people to just sit in their sofas and just think about going to the gym. So he found the gym attendees actually increased their muscle strength by 30%. But the armchair folks had also increased their muscle power by just about half as much. All they had to do was imagine flexing their biceps as hard as they could during daily training sessions 5 times a week. And he found that not only did they build up their biceps by just thinking about it, but this effect remained for 3 months after the mental training stopped. So it's great. I love this because I don't really like going to the gym, and now I know that directed thoughts can give me the burn just as well as any workout. I'm not the only one who knows this, though. Any athlete worth his salt knows that one of the most important things about training is mental rehearsal. I think, therefore you lose. And the person who knew this most of all was Muhammad Ali. Ali was a master of intention. Before a fight, Ali used every self-motivational technique out there: affirmation, visualization, mental rehearsal, self-confirmation. Just think about it. One of the most powerful affirmations ever uttered is, "I am the greatest." But beside that, Ali made his intentions public. He was known for this constant barrage of rhyming couplets and quatrains, and everybody used to think they were cute and kind of silly. But they were actually highly specific intentions in disguise. Listen to them. Archie Moore is sure to hug the floor by the end of 4. Or another one was, when he was called Cassius Clay, Now Clay swings with a right, with a beautiful swing, and the punch knocks the bear clear out of the ring. Well, actually, when you go back and you look at those fights, Archie Moore definitely did hit the floor at 4 in the 4th round, and when Clay swung with his right, the bear was knocked right out of the ring. He was imagining all of this through a very detailed mental rehearsal. Before a fight, when you look back at Muhammad Ali tapes, he would repeat these little rhymes like a mantra until he himself accepted them as fact. When he fought George Foreman in the famous Rumble in the Jungle, everybody was voting against Ali. Ali was finished as far as the media was concerned. And at the time, Foreman was one of the most brutal fighters in the ring. He was unbeatable. Nevertheless, every time Ali found a journalist, he would say, "You know, that Foreman, he's got a good hook, but he can't punch. This is going to be the biggest upset in fighting history." And you know what? It was. And everything he said to these journalists came to pass. Ali once even used a voodoo doll. And that was when he fought Joe Frazier in the Philippines. He got a little rubber gorilla, and he would stick it in his top pocket, and every time he saw a journalist, he'd pull it out, and he'd start punching it. And he'd say, "It's going to be a thriller and a chiller and a killer when I get the gorilla in Manila." And poor Frazier, by the time he faced Ali in the ring, he was reduced in his own mind to something less than human. It was horribly racist, but it worked. But for our purposes, what Ali did most of all was mentally rehearse. He rehearsed every moment of the fight in his head, the fatigue in his legs, the sweat pouring off his body, the pain in his side, the pain to his kidneys, the bruises on the face, but also the moments of victory, the roar of the crowd, the receiving of his crown, the media attention. He sent an intention to his body to win, and his body responded by following orders.